Ladies, and hopefully more ladies, but mainly gentlemen, welcome in. This is episode 26 of Go the JC Route. It's your boy JC. That's AJ Brock. The Birdman will hop in at some point, hopefully.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll see. Man, I'll tell you what, we had a heated episode last week, and I feel like it's gonna get heated again this week. So
What happened? What happened? What happened?
It's gonna be a little fun. We're gonna talk some silver boot. What?
What happened last week? I was at the game, remember?
Yeah, so after you got off, Chris and I actually had a pretty heated conversation about ownership in DFW. It was about Jerry Jones focusing on entertainment and business and not winning football.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Mark Cuban tanking and getting us in trouble. We know now that we didn't lose any draft picks, which was nice. Mark Cuban has $750,000 to spend anyway, so whatever.
Of course.
But a little bit of that. Apparently, like, who would have thought, like, the Rangers are probably one of the most competent ownership groups in DFW right now, behind the Stars.
And successful.
Yeah. At least so far this year, that's for sure.
Right.
But we got kind of pissed off at ownership. Is your camera okay? It's like,
yeah, I'm on ESPN. Hold on. I'm going back. Now I'm back.
Okay. Well, so we just got kind of heated there. But this week's going to be for a little bit of a different reason. But before we get to that, I want to talk Silver Boot because those dang asterisks got what were coming to them. I mean, honestly, I can't really call them asterisks anymore because they finally won a legit World Series last year. As much as it pained me, like they did it, and we know they did it fair this time.
Did you see that an asterisks Disastros Trastros fan had a jersey that it had a 0 on it on the back, and the name was Ranger Titles. And I was like,
I mean, to be fair, I can't argue that. Like,
I can't, but it's nice to live rent-free in their head.
It's a rivalry. What do you expect? Like,
that's fair. That's very fair.
I came across a TikTok page last week, and it was just like, it was an Astros fan that all he did was like make montages talking shit about the Rangers. And I'm like, do you have anything better to do? Like,
obviously not.
Keep your name out your mouth. But also, it's just like, it's funny, like fair play, right? Like, they've been one of the best teams in baseball for the last half a decade or so, 5 to 10 years. So good for them. But I don't know. It feels like, well, so for those that aren't aware, the Rangers took 2 out of 3 from the Astros this weekend without Corey Seager and without Jacob deGrom pitching. So I feel like that was given that we expect Houston to be, well, going into the season, they're the team to beat in the West again. And we expect them to be generally good this year. They've kind of had a slow start. You know, they're missing Jose Altuve and a couple others, but we expected them to be the team to beat. So
Absolutely.
That was our real first measuring stick team of the season. You know, given we played Philly, we played Kansas City, and then we played, who else did we play?
Oakland.
We played Oakland already?
We did play. I thought we did. No, we didn't. Played the Cubs.
The Cubs. That's who we played. We played Philly. We played the Cubs. We played the Royals. And the Orioles is who we played.
That's right. We played the Orioles.
We actually lost 2 out of 3 of the Orioles, but
we lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubbies.
So, but to be fair, this year it's early season, and we're not exactly expecting Orioles and the Cubs to be really, really good teams this year. Where we're expecting, well, the Phillies were coming off a World Series loss. We expected them to be good this year. They got trashed by us. And we expect Houston to be good this year. So other than that first series of the year, this was our true first kind of like measuring stick series to see where we are. And we came out and for the most part played really, really well.
Yeah.
There's obviously some needs like we need to clean up, but at this point in the season, most teams have things they need to clean up. It's, we're freaking not even 20 games into the season. So there's stuff to work on, but it felt really good to know like, hey, two of our best players aren't playing, and we are not only competitive with the Astros, we probably came across as a better team in most of it.
We did. And to be fair, like you mentioned earlier, the Astros are missing a few people, but still to be able to beat them in Houston is, I guess, a measuring block to see where we are in terms of the rebuilding process. Sure. I'm very comfortable where we are. I'm comfortable with our starting pitching down in the farm right now too. I saw
you still got Leiter, you still got Rocker, you still got Cole Winn and play pieces like that in the farm that are coming up. I'd like to see. I don't know if they're not going to be ready to start this year. I wonder if they would have a chance at like filling in the back end of our bullpen at the end of the season. Like, to be fair, our bullpen's been rock solid already, which for me, that was our biggest question mark coming into the year is what's our bullpen going to be like? Because we didn't change too much about our bullpen.
Right.
But, get a different pitching coach and a different philosophy in the clubhouse and see what happens. They've actually been really, really good, and our pitching staff as a whole has been really, really good this year.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to see if we can sustain it over the course of a season. And I think that's the biggest part because our sample size this season is so small. Are they going to be better consistently, or are they going to kind of revert to what we saw last year, which was probably the worst bullpen in baseball? I mean, I said it all year last year. Our offense was fine, but our pitching couldn't stop the other teams from scoring. So that's what our problem was. This year, our pitching staff is solid and our offense is better, and so we're going to be a competitive team. And assuming we stay healthy, of course, right? Now we know, Jacob deGrom left early last night for an injury, but
he's feeling better.
He said that he's not expecting it to keep him out at all. So
I will take the precaution if it means keeping deGrom healthy.
That's really, really good news.
It is. It's terrific news. I think
we're gonna miss Corey Seager for a little bit, but he should be back soon. Later.
Yeah. He'll be back in a couple weeks. I mean, the team is still winning right now and still stepping up, so I'm okay with it. And I think if we are going to be a true competitor this year, something we need to look for down the line this season is a true closer. That's something we desperately need.
Yeah, back end of the bullpen, like late game, just lock it down players, because I think like Leclerc has that potential, but he's not there. Same thing with Jonathan Hernandez. He's got that potential. He hasn't showed it consistently yet.
Right.
And I'm not going to trust Ian Kennedy on a year-long basis based on his age. He's got the potential, but I'm not going to trust him at like 40 or however old he is.
Aroldis Chapman would be an option.
All right, dude. I mean, at the right price, there's always a price. But, one thing I was going to say is I was thinking about it. And when you think about the American League as a whole, there's a lot of mediocrity in it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what do you call Oakland? Mediocre or just god-awful trash?
I mean, don't make me quote Moneyball, right? Like there's rich teams, then there's poor teams, then there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's us.
I saw that I think the top two players on the Mets are
more than their whole payroll. Yeah, I know.
Are earning like over $200 million, and the entire payroll on the Oakland A's is $34 million.
Yeah, I think this year alone, between Verlander and Scherzer, I think they're like more than doubling up in the entire Oakland payroll.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're both getting like between 35 and 45 a year. So they're getting paid combined like almost 80 million, and their whole payroll is 34. Yeah, it's stupid. But to be fair, the Mets are one of the better teams in the league, so it's working so far. And that's without Edwin Diaz playing. He's probably going to be out for the year, which is looking good for them.
I mean,
who can't like Danny Burgers?
Right.
You got Danny Burgers.
But I think
bombs.
You said it though that there's a lot of mediocrity in the American League, and it seems like.
And what I'm getting at is that conversation. What I'm getting at that conversation is, even if the Rangers are slightly competitive against the top half of the AL, and they take care of business against the bottom half, then we'll be right in the thick of things coming the end of the season. Like, I mean, as it stands right now, you've got the teams below 500 in the AL are Oakland, Kansas City, White Sox, Tigers, Red Sox, Mariners, and Astros. They're all below 800, all below 500 right now, right? And then even then, you've got the Angels and the Guardians at 500. So if you're able to, for the most part, take care of business on those bottom half teams, now we expect Cleveland to come up. We expect Houston to come up. Right?
I halfway expect.
And right now, Baltimore's 9-7, but we're going to expect them to probably drop down this season, right? But if you're able to, over the course of a season, take care of business, win 2 out of 3, get the occasional sweep, right? You can't expect that every series, but if you're able to do that, a vast majority of the time, we're going to be right there at the top of the division at the end of the season. And then just be competitive against the top teams, right? Because that's your real measuring stick of how are we going to do we have a chance of the playoffs? Am I expecting us to go far in the playoffs this year? No. Am I even expecting us to make it? Still no. So far, so good. But I think we'll be able to see as the season goes is, are we truly competitive, or is this kind of like the season the Oklahoma City Thunder had this year, where they were good and they got into the play-in, and they even won a game in the play-in, but they weren't going to go much farther than that. So I kind of feel like that's the kind of season the Rangers are going to have. Like, maybe get a wild card game, maybe slide into the ALDS, but not go much farther than that.
Sure.
And even even kind of go back to my original expectations of us just like being competing for the wild card, given like early indications, I feel more confident about us at least sliding into the wild card based on what we've seen from the AL so far. But I don't expect us to go very far. I need to see us continue to build our depth and round out if we truly want to compete, right? And so that's those conversations like we talk about our secondary players, the back end of our bullpen. I trust our rotation so far, but just see more overall consistency, stuff like that. But we've gotten good indications so far, which is really, really nice. And then we're working on taking that damn boot from Houston.
We'll take it.
I hope to God we take that boot back. Honestly, it doesn't mean much to me anymore. Like, we haven't had it in 5 years or something like that
at minimum.
But just to have something to hold on to as a Rangers fan for the first time in a while, it feels good.
Sure, it does, and I think offensively last year, like you said, we did fine. I think this year, already seeing more production from Semien is good, and then
well, he had 20-something games before he hit his first home run last year.
Yeah, it was a while.
He's had 3 in the last 4.
Yeah, which anytime you join a new team, it's probably going to take a while, right? But
yeah, you got to settle in a little bit.
You got to settle in. But all in all, I mean, it's been a night and day performance from what they were doing last year. I'm very comfortable with this start. So I like to see improvement, and they are vastly improved from last year so far. I think ownership definitely has played a role, and having Chris Young as the GM, I think, has played an even bigger role.
Well, I think it's kind of shown how we've had a little bit of a different mindset the last couple of years. We've seen that. We've seen a shift in changing from the JD system to the Chris Young system. We've seen a shift in how the type of players we we prospect or we try to bring to the team, and it's it's the jury's still out a little bit on how we're going to do that. It also, well, to be fair, it also like I know we were kind of ready for JD to be out, but at the same time, to be fair, the last 4 or 5 years of his tenure, he wasn't allowed to spend money anyway, so that didn't necessarily help his prospects anyway. But
sure,
it helps that Chris Young, he's coming with a different philosophy, different type of player he likes to attract and utilize on the team. Last 2 years, he's been able to spend. We've probably been one of the highest spending teams in the league between Seager, between Simeon, between DeGrom, and Eovaldi, who Nathan needs to step it up, man.
I know Nathan has had a really rough.
Or Ethan, job. Nathan Eovaldi, yeah.
Just breathe.
Dude needs to step it up a little
bit. Bring it down.
Because like our starting rotation in general this year has been solid. I feel it's like all of them have had like a bad start. Like DeGrom had the first start, who was rocky, but he's been rock solid since. Nate Eovaldi had a good start or two. He's kind of been going downhill since then. Gray got shelled his first time out, but has been very, very good last few couple. Heaney got shelled. He's been looking better. Martin Perez, he's actually probably been the most consistent. He hasn't blown anybody away, but he's been like consistently above average to good. Like if Perez is like your 2-3 starter, you are very, very happy with that.
Oh yeah, totally. Because he does what any good pitcher does.
Mm-hmm.
He eats innings.
Oh yeah, any good starting pitcher, you eat innings, and he just likes munching on them for some reason. But no, that's a really, really good thing. And if we're able to stay healthy, that only bodes well for us long term. Right. Honestly, I didn't really talk as much shit about the Astros as I wanted, but I'll reserve that for when
we take the boot back.
Yeah, because I mean, we're gonna play them another freaking 20 times this year or something like that.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm sure I can look it up. Like, I know we play every divisional opponent like a dozen times or like 15 times,
something like that.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I can tell you. Let's see. We played them 3 times this month. If not, let's see. So we played them 3 times this month. We play Houston none in May, which is interesting. We play them once in June.
Okay.
And then so that's 4. July makes it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. August makes it still 10, and then September 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 13 games with Houston. So we're about a third of the way there, looking solid.
Yeah.
If we're able to win 2 out of 3 the entire way,
we're set.
That puts us at 8 or 9 wins out of the 13. I'll take the boot. Thank you very much. See you later.
Exactly. Just got to win 7, at least 7.
So I as it stands, I'm confident in that, but we'll see when we get there, and I'll talk more shit about the Asterisks when we get there. Look who decided to join us.
How's it going?
Good. We are. We're starting off by talking a little Rangers asterisk. You got anything you'd like to add or any perspective you got on your heart?
The only thing that I have is it's unfortunate that John Gray went out with that injury because I thought he like for what he pitched 2 innings, and those innings, honestly, John Gray went out with an injury against the Astros. DeGrom went out with an injury against the Royals yesterday.
That's right. Gray did go out with an injury. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's why Dunning pitched the other day, right?
Yeah, and he pitched a good game. I don't remember what he pitched, like 4 or 5 innings.
Dunning looked really good.
It was a very nice outing for him. But yeah, the whole John Gray
that
thing,
kind of goes back, I felt you missed the conversation. So you missed the conversation, but that goes back to like the depth we have in our pitching staff this year.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. When Dunning is your long man / 6th starter, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. And it's night and day. I hoped we were going to be a tad better. I didn't think we were going to be this, even though the sample size is way too small. I didn't think we were going to be in this solid of a position comparatively to last year. So, all in all,
I mean, it's still early, but like it's fantastic. But I will say
that's what we were saying earlier, Chris. Right now the sample size is too small, but I feel it's still a good start.
Oh yeah,
I mean, like we're not even an eighth of the way through the season. Like we're
not like in May.
Yeah,
we're not even. We're not even in May yet.
Like kind of joking. Like in 2 of the 3 starts that John Gray has pitched, one of those games he lost, but he pitched a gem, and then it looked like he was pitching a gem against Houston, and just got hurt. Got hit on the side and just went out. And I mean, you kind of wonder what happens in that game if John Gray stays in and he's pitching the way he is.
True.
Maybe it goes the same way, but I mean, you can't help but wonder what happens in that scenario. But I mean, the bats look nice, the rotation is nice, the bullpen is doing what it needs to do to win.
Bullpen's effective right now.
You're definitely looking at a team that's not only going to compete for a wild card, but is probably going to be the favorite right now.
That's what I was talking with.
If they don't win the division,
about a little bit earlier, was my expectation going into the season was us to compete for a wild card, maybe sneaking in.
I think that's everybody's. That's everybody's.
Now it's a little different.
Based on what we've seen so far, given small sample size.
Yes.
My expectation or my hopes are shifting towards, hey, we're in the wild card. Maybe we'll do something with it. Maybe we won't. I likened it to kind of what Oklahoma City, the Thunder did this year, where they were better. They're building. They've been better this year than they have the last couple of years. They snuck into the play and they even won a game, but they probably weren't going to go much farther than winning one more game or getting in the first round as an 8 seed and losing, right? I kind of see the Rangers similarly, like where I can see them getting in a wild card, maybe winning a wild card game, but then getting to the ALDS and are not really doing much against like the Yankees or something, right? Like something like that. Which honestly, if that's what happens this season, we'll be pissed off at the time. But that was a good season.
That's a massive. Just to be in the wild card is the stepping stone.
Them or the Astros. If we play
one,
I want nothing.
But here's the thing.
To beat them. That'd be amazing.
Here's the thing. Just to be in the wild card is a stepping stone. To go to the ALDS is a huge stepping stone. But I think that you talk about shifting your expectations. I think that expectation definitely shifts if this is a consistent trend come the All-Star break. If they're still in this position during the All-Star break, you automatically go from okay, we may be able to be in a position to be in a wild card to we better get a wild card.
Yeah, especially now that
the way that they're playing now is,
especially with the stadium too, how it is environment controlled, like that helps longevity through the season. So you're not worried about pitchers keeping command or hitters hitting their weight. Like that helps. So
sure,
yeah, it allows free agents to come over here. I wish another owner would take notice of that.
Anyway,
but no, that was kind of where we're at. And like, it feels good so far. We got to continue it. They're winning like 8-2 right now, so we're happy with that. But it's
Are
also
they really?
It's also the Royals, so they need to be winning like
you
that.
Win
The Royals.
You know the thing is that you take advantage of the teams that you're supposed to beat. I mean, regardless of who you're beating, you can take criticism, but the fact is that you have to be in a position to be able to beat those teams.
Yeah,
and they've finally gotten to that point.
Both sides of our team are giving our team a chance to win the games right now. More often than not,
we
our
also
pitching
talk-
is. What I was gonna say is more often than not, our pitchers are giving us a chance to win, and our offense is giving us a chance to win, which is really good because it seems like a lot of DFW teams is one or the other, and they're never on at the same time.
Cowboys.
So Cowboys do it.
Mavericks.
The Mavericks sure as shit do it. They didn't have defense.
Mavericks do it both sides.
For the longest time, it was the Stars that had one or the other. But
also, speaking of which, are we going to talk about the reason why I'm dog-ass tired today?
So, speaking of dog-ass
have you read the title of the video?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Speaking of dog-ass tired, I'm going to make this point and then hop off because I got to be up at 4 a.m. And I'm falling asleep in my chair. Dude, I've almost fallen asleep twice just sitting here. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning.
I watched you. I was watching you while I was offline.
I'm about to fall asleep again. So, Joe goddamn Pavelski. It was not his fault, but that guy.
It was Matt Dumbass's fault.
I know, and as much as I dislike Matt Dumba, I think he's a dirty player. Joe has had a rough go in the playoffs. 3 times he's had a concussion. 3 times.
Yeah,
2 of them were
but
the Sharks.
look. Yeah, the thing is that there were several chances in that overtime and even in the third period to take a score. Like there were 3-4 chances that the Stars had to win that game.
And how many chances? That is the biggest theme with that team this year is how many chances they have had to win games, and they haven't done it.
Oh, I forgot. And they went into overtime again. I mean,
they went
2 overtimes.
Two. And it's like, dude, like you're at home ice and you go into 2 overtimes. You should be winning.
I said this during the regular season. It's nice that you're winning games and you're getting points, but like if you're playing a 7-game series and every game's going to overtime, especially the way it is in game 1, you're not going to get to the second round or to the third round. There's no way you get to the third round. You get swept the next round. I bet.
They showed
especially if you're playing Colorado.
So they showed a stat last night during the game, and it was Pete DeBoer is 6-1 in all time as a coach in the first round, which made me feel a little bit better. But it definitely doesn't help missing your top line center.
No.
Which is kind of shitty. But honestly, my biggest problem was losing that game last night was really hurt. I was like, you're gonna go through all of that just to lose, which was so stupid because honestly, like the Stars played better throughout the game. Like they started super slow, just looked sluggish, didn't really fit in, and then they got better as the game went. Like I'd say second half of the second period, third period, first overtime, they controlled that entire game. They even controlled the first part of the second overtime. They just got a stupid bounce, and it cost them a game, which sometimes that happens. But my biggest problem was, and I hate doing this, I hate chirping officials, but they lost control of that game last night. They were trying to ride that line of letting them play and endangering their health.
Yeah.
And the game last night was definitely on that reckless, worried about your health side. Like not only are you going to barely call a major on Dumba for that hit on Pavelski, but then you're going to reduce it to a minor. And so not only like that's a suspendable hit. And hear me out. I'm a Stars fan, right? They missed calls both ways last night. Like there's like the Suter cross check on Kaprizov. That should have been called. That was a dirty cross check, right? Like I'll be honest with that. It didn't knock Kaprizov out of the game. And like not only did Dumba go for the head of Pavelski, who was it later in the game that went for the head of somebody else? I think it was Foligno going after who was it? I think Foligno tried to headshot it was Robertson. He tried to headshot Robertson. That wasn't called.
Was it?
And yeah, Foligno tried to headshot Robertson, and he was shaken up for a little bit.
Go ahead, James.
Well, and so here's the thing. Here's the other thing that really, really pissed me off. That whole sequence of Dumba and Pavelski in that fight afterwards, Domi came out the worst with the most penalty minutes of anybody. Yes, I understand penalty minutes for fighting, right? Like, one, I respect Max Domi. He's bought in, obviously, to the team. Like, he's bought in probably more than anybody. Not named Jamie Benn. But he's going to go out there, stick up for your guys, even though he's been with the team like 2 months. But the fact that he comes away with 12 penalty minutes, and then also you're going to reduce Dumba's major to a minor so that he can't be suspended for it, is bullshit.
It is.
Not only do we not get a power play out of that, we played 4-on-4. We gave up a goal, so we lost our lead. And then we lost our one of our top line players, probably for the series, if not for the year.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be at least a week out for that concussion.
Easily.
If not more.
And I think that happens, not players getting injured in the playoffs bad, but officials more often than not in the NHL during the playoffs, they have a standard in the regular season, and then the playoffs comes around and it's this whole other standard of letting them play, and it more often than not ends up out of control. That's just been my experience watching games, just observing the difference in style of officiating.
Don't get me wrong, like I'm all for letting them play and let them be physical,
but there's a fine line.
The amount of cheap hits, reckless hits, dangerous plays last night that just went uncalled and uncontrolled was ridiculous. I get it. Like, you don't want to play that game tight, right? Like, I can get over a missed slash or like a couple taps on the hands or accidental tripping. There were so many blatant trips last night that were stupid that they just didn't call. But then more than that, the reckless hits, like the cross check to Kaprizov, the hit by Dumba.
There were a couple on Sagan.
Yeah, exactly. And you just lost control of the game. Like at that point, it's time for you to start calling things tighter and regaining control of the game because you've lost it. Right. And now there's going to be an expectation going into this next game that things are going to be way more physical. And what's going to happen is you're going to get a different crew, or it might be the same crew, but they're going to call it a lot tighter, and it's going to be way different. Here's something that's a little less important, but still pissed me off. When Foligno, I think it was Marcus Foligno, might have been Jared Spurgeon. He tripped Robo, fully stick wedged in between legs, and they called Robo for embellishment.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
I saw that one. Bullshit is that?
I definitely saw that one.
Yeah.
That was the referees fully selling the game. Like, you're stupid.
It's fellas. I've got to get to sleep.
Get to sleep. Peace. We'll catch up later.
Yeah. Later.
Sorry, that was weird. I'll
What am I going to say?
I don't know. Don't worry about it. But yeah, it fully felt like, now obviously again biased, right? Stars fan. It felt early in that game. Now I felt it kind of shifting a little bit fairer, just in the consistent bad calls from both sides as the game went on. But especially in that first first period and a half of the game, it felt like the Stars they refused to give the Stars called at home. They refused to let home ice because that crowd last night was electric. And
I'm going on Wednesday.
It almost felt like the referees purposefully didn't allow home ice to be home ice. You know what I'm saying? Like
here's the thing.
You're going to take advantage of having more points being the best.
Here's the thing that is kind of, and this goes across all sports, because hockey's, I'm still learning it. So I don't know it enough to watch it and go, okay, that was that, all that other stuff. But it just feels like the officiating's been atrocious across all sports. And it's just, you either got, whether it's, throwing somebody out.
Like, there's only so much you can do, but with the amount of, and I get you've got to balance, play like game time with real time and being efficient with the game and stuff like that. Like, you don't want everything to be reviewable because that's just going to take forever. I think where my expectation is going to shift is some kind of accountability. Like, at this point, the best you get from officials is pool reporting, like a pool statement, and it's stupid because they're always going to give you some standard league approved answer, right? Like until there's actual accountability, like nothing's going to happen, and it just feels like it didn't go right last night. It didn't, and it was really, really frustrating because just about every professional sports league out there right now is putting effort and time and energy into player safety. And like I was saying, like, it's something to miss a slash or miss a trip or one thing or the other, right? Yeah. We can let that
whenever
slide.
You're doing like body checks that
yeah, if you're gonna play physical, that's fine, right? Like, you got Jamie Benn throwing his body around. He does that. But when you refuse to make a statement on dangerous hits to the head, right? And Wild fans are going to argue he went shoulder to shoulder, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, the puck was gone and you purposefully launched up to the upper half of his body, shoulder/head. Yeah. The league and the referees have to make statements out of those calls because you're never going to solve player safety unless you have a hard expectation on those hits. And whenever you let players like Dumba get away with shit like that, they're going to keep doing it. Well, you're only going to keep risking player safety.
And it's going to get worse. I mean,
well, and it's only going to get worse. No consistency, right? Like, so.
Well, here's the other thing.
About this on the broadcast last night. So the playoffs, I think it was in 2018 or 2019, the Knights and Sharks, the last time Pavelski got hurt in the playoffs, it was that Cody Eakin hit that he got a major penalty for, and the Sharks ended up winning it. And probably cost them the game because they went 5-on-4 for 5 minutes in power play. That situation is what made those plays reviewable. And so the reason they're able to reduce that major to a minor last night is that previous play. But what's happened now is, even if you're able to review it, which is a good thing, you've got to call that the same way. Are they the same hit? No. But is it the same intent and the same situation? Absolutely. And so when you're going to call one a major penalty and you're going to call the other a minor penalty, there's no consistency. Like, I saw Golden Knights fans bitching and moaning about that on Twitter last night. And they're like, this is bullshit. If that was a major, this should have been a major. Or if this is a minor, that should have been a minor. It cost us a game. I agree. Like, you've got to have some sort of consistency. And there's just no tact in officiating.
I mean, that's that again, multiple sports have that same issue. Like, what is a catch in the NFL? But like, it also, like, to go back to one of your points that you made, like, if it's the same officiating crew, that game is going to be a lot more fiercer, and that game could end up getting a lot more dangerous because you're allowing so much to happen, so much more to happen than it should. And I get that it's a very physical game, but there's a difference between trying to make it physical and trying to ruin somebody's life. It's okay to go and body check somebody, but why are you aiming at somebody's head, or why are you blindsiding them? If you're at the boards and you see somebody
like it's
doing it, or it's one thing, but like if you're Pavelski and you don't see Dumba coming, or you're Jason Robertson about to get into the bench or whatever, although he should have probably expected that.
It's just no fun, because like you definitely want you want. I just feel like when you have professionals at a certain level, especially as far as officiating goes, there's got to have some sort of. I understand it's going to be almost impossible to do it, but when you've got a select group of individuals, like think about it, you've got 32 teams in the NHL. So at any given time, you're having 16 games a night at most, and that you have 4 on ice officials per game. Is that right? 4?
3 or
I think it's 3 or 4, right? So you're talking about having 75, maybe 100, NHL officials at one time at most, right?
Yeah,
that's a sizable group of people where you can have like-minded meetings, you can have consistency, and you have communications where you're able to referee things a certain way.
I think one thing that needs to happen for officials is that they need to start, and I guess it's because they don't have enough officials, but they need to get more officials, and they need to suspend some of those people, because a lot of the stuff that they're getting away with is just, and I think this is going on a different topic, but
that's what I was talking about when we talk about accountability. Like, if you're not going to fulfill your job properly, there needs to be some sort of reparations for that, because at this point, when you referee or you officiate in a game like last night, you're putting professional players' careers and lives at risk. Like, you can't afford to have Pavelski, who's he's not a spring chicken, right? That's not an excuse.
No, yeah.
But you can't have dudes that are almost 40 going out with concussions. You're ending a career there potentially. Robertson, he's 24, 25. You don't want to see him go out with a concussion. You're ending a potentially 15 or 20-year career.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And there's got to be some sort of balance between letting them play, but being harsh on the dangerous plays. Like, I'm all for letting them be rough and playing, but if you see something that smells dangerous, especially if it looks dangerous, like, I don't care because you can do slow-mo or whatever it is, like, to where it actually is or not, right? If in real time it looks dangerous and it smells dangerous, it was probably dangerous, and you've got to crack down on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
because there's a thing. When you slow down that video last night on that Dumba hit, it looks shoulder to shoulder. But in real time, you see him launch upwards towards that head and neck area. And it was a dangerous hit. Like, you see him go flying, and he's laying on the ice, and he can't walk off straight because you see his eyes are crossed, and he's looking up in the middle of freaking. He doesn't know where he is.
Yeah.
But because you reviewed it, made it a minor, because in slow-mo it looked shoulder to shoulder. Now Dumba's not getting suspended or fined. We've lost Pavelski for a series, if not the season, and you've not only not protected the player's health, you've cost us one of our best players. You're gonna cost one of our best players regardless. There has to be some sort of reparations for that. Dumba's getting no punishment for that.
Well, not just that, but you also make it okay for that to be a thing again.
And that's
the minute that wasn't
game 3, game 4, they're gonna be super physical and somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yep.
Again.
Yeah, and it could be a career ender. Like it could legitimately be as bad or worse than what Pavelski went through. And like at some point, back in the 80s, whenever they had the NBA at its fiercest, there were fights every night. They were doing all that to the and they had to get a hold on that to where it's so soft. You're honestly going to get it to a point where you have to tone it down so much because it's getting way physical. And I know I'm talking about hockey, which is a super aggressive sport, but still you can't allow those hits to just go unpunished, because now it's going to happen. Like you said, it's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen the next game. It's going to happen, the next game. And when is it going to stop? It's going to happen. It's probably going to happen in one of the games tonight.
Well, say that's the point I was about to make. Was what's likely to happen is we'll go watch, the Golden Knights game or the Avalanche game, and somebody, or even the freaking, Bolts Leaves game, and somebody's going to get hit heavily and they're going to get punished for it. And all the Stars fans are going to look at that on Twitter and be like, why is that a major and ours wasn't?
Yeah.
The hit last night was 5 times that.
Or they're going to have to
that goes into the
show that it was a month. Yep.
There's just no consistency and no accountability in officiating right now. And
no, there's not.
And nothing is going to change until there's some sort of accountability attached to it. Like, we know officials at lower levels, like college and semi-pro and stuff. That's not their main career. We know that. We know a lot of professional officials. That's what they do professionally because it takes so much of their life up, right? Yeah. If you're going to do that professionally, you have to be held to a higher standard. Yes, does that mean you're going to face some backlash? Like if something goes wrong? Absolutely. But you're a professional. Act like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like there should be no excuse why you're missing a call and then you're having to go on and apologizing, like or making a call that costs an
is. I've been an official before. The whole thing is,
yes,
if you miss a call, you've got to own it, right? Like if you miss a call, well, so like I was a baseball umpire, right? And you can miss a call, but if you sell the call, people will believe you, right? In youth baseball, there's no replay, right? In professional sports, you've got replay where you can kind of see if you missed it or not, right?
And a billion different cameras.
There may be rules in place where you can't change the outcome of a game, which is fine. But if the official has some sort of accountability measure, he might have to come back and say after the game, "Hey, I missed that call. I'm going to be fined for it or whatever, but I missed that call." That kind of transparency and honesty is what we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then at that point, like especially like if it's a situation like last night, if the official comes back and say, "Yeah, we talked it over again. Hey, that probably should have been a major penalty." Now there's got to be some mechanisms on the league side that can say, "Hey, actually, if we think that's, even though it's called a minor penalty, we think that was dangerous, that guy can be suspended."
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, as far as I can tell, Dumba's not getting suspended. Like, I can try to search it up right now.
I mean, why would he? They didn't deem it a super.
Yeah, like earlier today, NHL player safety is not going to have a hearing for the Dumba hit, which is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous.
Officiating just has to change.
And I don't even know if anybody's said anything on Pavelski's health.
Have they given any? Oh, Rangers are up 12-2 right now.
Yeah, Doley hit a home run.
Yeah, they've found several ways to win, and that's a really good thing.
Yeah, there's not been any updates on his injuries or anything.
I mean, you gotta think that he is out for a while.
Because then you think about it, when somebody gets a concussion in
And
football,
they look that bad,
it's at least one game, if not two games. So you're looking at least a week or two at the least, right?
And you talk about a guy that literally
tough, right? But also they don't take
like they yeah. Like they literally, you're talking about a guy that literally.
If you're talking a week, like let's see, if you're talking a week, that puts you Tuesday next week. Let's see, they play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. You're looking at least game 6 before he comes back, if not the entire series. And then even then, he may not be. If you talk another week, we're like game 3 in the second round if we make it there. So that's very well a season-ending injury, and that's bullshit. That's not getting penalized harsher. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get it's hockey. You play hard. You get hurt playing hockey, but no, the intent on that was
I guess
not good.
Like I said, there's a difference between playing rough and playing reckless, or playing with the intent to hurt somebody.
And that's what he did there.
Yes, like, and it was the same thing with who was the other guy?
I think it was Foligno on Robo. I think it was.
Yeah. And there were several chances, like you said, in that game where they did not make this call that they were supposed to. And it's not just that call. I mean, you talk about that call, but there were, like you said, there were multiple calls that they didn't make. That it's just like, I mean, now are you going to make that call? I mean, if you make it the call next time, that's inconsistent.
Yeah, and that's only going to cause more issues for the rest of the league on down the line. But unfortunately, there's not much we can do about it now. So
nope.
All we can do is
we can only sit here,
regroup.
Well, the only thing you and I can do is sit here and.
I'll tell you what, though, on a completely different note, Wyatt Johnston was amazing last night. He was all over the freaking place the entire game.
I think it took. Oh, I mean, he had several. Was he the guy who failed to miss the last shot, or was that Marchment?
They both whiffed on a shot in overtime.
Oh my gosh!
I think the last one was Marchment.
When he missed that shot, I was like, "That's it, we're done. We lost."
But dude, I was just watching that game. You couldn't go anywhere without it felt like Wyatt Johnston was everywhere. He was probably the player of the game last night, and he's 19. Like,
I feel like the first half it took a little bit to get him going, but second and third period, he was everywhere. And I mean, it's nice to see a guy that young in the playoffs playing against a team that's physical like Minnesota, looking like he belongs there. And you talk about the way that game ended. I wonder what game 2 does, because as physical as Minnesota played, I mean, that had to take a lot out of them. And if it they had a nice shot on that last goal, but I mean, how many chances did we miss? How many chances do we have in the third period and in overtime to try and win that game?
A lot.
I mean, honestly, it reminded me of when it reminded me of.
But it took the Stars a period and a half to really fill into the game, but it really felt like the second half of the second period, or especially the third period they controlled the game, and they had plenty of opportunities to win the game, and they just couldn't. To be fair, both goalies stood on their head last night. Otter and Gustafson were incredible.
It was awesome. It was an awesome game to watch. But you know what it reminded me though was us playing Calgary last year, in that they were just hitting shots and we were just finding ways to dodge them and win the games. I'm hoping that it's a different outcome than the same outcome that Calgary had against us. But that honestly what it reminded me of, because besides, Gustafson was amazing. He's better than Ottinger. And but I mean they're gonna need that from their goalie for the rest of the series, because I don't think the Stars are gonna stop.
We'll see. I'm still confident in the Stars' ability to win this series, especially since we saw how later in the game our energy was just better than theirs.
Yes, because of the like I said, the amount of energy that you exert trying to hit people. I mean,
yeah. Well, and the thing is, it felt like the Stars were like this second half of the game, like third period, like second period, third period on. The Stars were full speed the entire game for the most part.
Yeah.
And it felt like the Wild were fading. I feel like if the Stars don't get that poor bounce that allow the Wild to win the game, like it was a bad bounce. You're gonna get a bad bounce off of a skate in the boards. It's gonna bounce to a guy right in front of the net who gets a one-on-one with the goalie. Like it happens, right? Like you can't be mad at how they won the game. That's unlucky. But it felt like if we keep going, the Stars are controlling that game so much, you win that game. But
like I said, look at the last shot before they won. That's a shot that probably should have gone in.
Well, when we hit the post twice in overtime, if not three times.
And then you talk about in the third period we had several chances to I think one ended up going like flying out of the rink as he was trying to shoot at it. But like, they're going to be a lot better than that on most days.
Yeah, that's one of those games where
when it comes to finishing, we
outplayed the other team, but they had luck on their side a little bit. So sometimes that's all you need. You can't get mad about it, but it is what it is.
This game
ready
could be
for
one of those
game
games
2 tomorrow night.
Yep, and I will be there to see them play.
Jealous.
My brother has tickets, so
jealous.
I was just like, shit, I'll go.
So jealous. I would love to go, but it's not in the cards right now.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd add before we wrap up? We're going on an hour now.
Yeah, it's about time to go. Draft is in about a week.
I was talking to Aiden earlier. We'll do our draft special next week, leading into the draft. Talk Cowboys draft, who we want, who we'd like to target, and go from there. Well, I'm sure we'll have some Stars playoff games to rant about too, since it is that time. But we'll probably open Stars and then deep dive into the Cowboys draft. What positions we need to target, who players we like, stuff like that, and see if we can get something to happen. May play with a little bit of mock draft stuff. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But anything you add before we get out of here?
Go Hawks. Go Dallas.
It's not the time for that, dude. Go Stars.
Go Texas. Go Rangers.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on YouTube. We'll see you when you see you. Don't want to get mad anymore. I've lost my voice. Now I've yelled about the Stars too much. See you later.